Thank you all for being here. As we approach the 75th anniversary of our independence, we will soon start hearing a lot about the nation's many accomplishments in the fields of education and health and science and technology and women's empowerment and, of course, national defense and so on. And of course, there have been many achievements, and we're proud of our 75 years of independent modern India. And yet, Dr. Ambedkar's dream of an untouchability free India still remains a dream. Despite the many laws that are designed to end untouchability and caste violence that are in our laws, in our constitution, in our IPC sections, there is not a single day that passes in this country without some or the other report of an atrocity or many atrocities being committed against Dalits, especially Dalit women, very obviously because of the fact that they are Dalit. These are hate crimes that are obviously driven by the caste bias angle. And I think it's important to start for all of us as society with admitting that it does exist. Martin Macwan is the co-founder of the Navsarjan Trust in Ahmedabad, and he is the convener of several other institutions and initiatives that strongly believe that true progress in ending untouchability and all forms of bigotry will only come about when there is a real and genuine transformation of hearts and minds. And that requires, obviously, a public education at a massive scale. He has made many efforts in the last few years and in recent times to sort of redefine and broaden the term Dalit, which is, of course, something that we will talk to him more about today. And he's, of course, been a very vocal critic of untouchability practices within the Dalit communities as well. So this is also something we will try and understand from him. As part of the same broader national education, that is the endeavor of the Navsarjan Trust. In this 75th year of our independence, the Navsarjan Trust has been engaged in a very interesting year-long campaign to raise awareness about untouchability and the practices of untouchability that are still alive and well. The last stage of this campaign is called Bhim Rudan, or which translates as Dr. Ambedkar's cries. This is a very interesting and powerful campaign because it is a march or a pilgrimage, if you like, that will start on the 1st of August 2022 from Ahmedabad to Delhi by over 300 activists who will be accompanying a giant 10-foot high 1-ton brass coin, which is made from the utensils of ordinary people. So made from the brass utensils of ordinary people. The coin on one side will show the image of Dr. Ambedkar, and on the other side, the image of Gautam Buddha. The question, of course, that is etched on this coin and in this campaign is, will the 1947 dream of an untouchability-free India become a reality in 2047? I'm very pleased that we are here today with Martin Macwan because I want to understand more about this campaign, his efforts, and also why is it that, what is the symbolism behind this coin, and why is it that the Navsarjan Trust is doing this campaign to make sure that this coin is placed in the new Parliament building. So I want to understand more about that from Martin Ji. So Martin Ji, very welcome to you. I understand that the Bhim Rudan March is, as you know, we've just said, it's a culmination of a year-long effort and a campaign by the Navsarjan Trust to raise awareness about untouchability. So if you can just tell us what this year has been like and the sort of the events that have led up to this march, the kinds of campaigns you all have done, the efforts you all have made.
Thank you. Thank you, Swara. It's so nice to that you agreed to come on this conversation. And actually, we did the first program on 20th March 2020. So it's just over 2 years. And at the time when people walked in our campus with about 500 kilograms of brass utensils. And that's how the program was launched. And during that time, several community leaders were visiting from at least 13 states of India, right from Uttarakhand to Telangana and Tamil Nadu. So they saw the program and they went back to their place and they also launched the same initiative. And we required about 1,000 kilograms or 1,200 kilograms of brass, but within a very short span, we got about 2,450 kilograms, and we had to say no to the people. So that's the brass part of it. We also made small replicas of the coin because people wanted to see how it will look like. Imagination or images are very important in social movement and communication. So we made small images and people travel with that images across the country. And that's how people started collecting donation 1 rupee coins, which we said we will donate it to the Indian Parliament, not for construction, but to strengthen the resolve to abolish untouchability. So today we have got about 2 million coins with us, which weighs about 8 tons. We also launched a program on 26 November 2021. That's the day which is known when the Constitution of India was ready. We do celebrate 15th August and 26th of January or 14th of April, but not 26th November. So, however, how we articulated the program was very important. And, there is this strong belief, cultural belief among the people of the so-called yugas, that after the demise of Lord Krishna, the Kali Yuga began. And Kali Yuga will end only after 5,000 years. So everybody had to wait for happiness to come. But we said on 26 November 1950, when the constitution was ready, a new yuga was born in India that is called Samvidhan Shakti Yuga. This is what has given rights to people to vote, to contest elections, to say that we are equals, for children to be able to study, which was banned. So we said a very simple program, community will get together and light lamps. That's all. We have our outreach in about 2,000 villages, but I must say that program was celebrated in 13,500 villages across India. It was a very big response. So we realized that people do understand the importance of Constitution in their daily lives. It's a pity that we don't teach them, the way we should. So with that, definitely after people made the donation in tubs of brass utensils, all wanted to know whether the coin is really going to become a reality. Nobody had seen, you can make a coin of 1,000 kilograms. We had worked with about 7 artists. And finally, after all that hard work of about a year of finding proper people, we found a team of 3 people who made this coin possible. And today we have the coin with us. We made sure that every single step, we took some photographs and shared with the community. So people wanted to know what's happening. So that's how the coin has come. And finally, when the coin was ready, we organized a program for its public display, attended by more than 1,500 people, and 45 people came all the way from Rajasthan, because this yatra is going to be traveling about 850 kilometers in Rajasthan. So they wanted to see, and ever since they saw actually in practice the coin, they went back and started the preparations. So this is the story of the coin, but we wanted to make sure that the coin, although it may reach on 7th of August, it should reach Delhi and in the parliament before that. So we made, these are the copper coins, which about 75 grams. And we have sent these coins to all these 750 members of the parliament. The coins have reached them. I got an email from one of the MP. I got a personal call from another MP. And there are at least 7, 8 other MPs who told our people personally that they're very happy with the program. And so this is the kind of preparation that we made. There are a lot of people. I'm not alone. So we have Indu in DSK, Pradeep in Dalit Foundation, Dinesh is there. There's several other people and 100 about volunteers who have been working on this day and night. So this is, and definitely I cannot forget both Raju and Sunita. They are feeling very sorry that they are not in India and they wanted to actually participate. So this is what we have been able to do in a journey of about 2 years.
That's really quite stellar. And it's also very inspiring. Before I ask you any more things about your efforts, I'm interested in the symbolism of the fact that the coin is made from brass utensils of ordinary people. So can you tell us just a very, if you can just quickly tell us about what is that symbolism for you? Because this is a huge symbolic act, right? That you want this, a coin made out of the utensils of ordinary people with the kind of message that it has. It's also a reminder. It's there is a bit of a, it's also a reality check in some way, right? That you want to be placed in this new parliament building, which is so much about, in some senses also so much of a show of strength, a show of pomp, a bit of a statement. So it's interesting that in that kind of a project you have this reminder of the things that really matter in our country. So if you could just tell us a bit about the symbolism of these brass utensils that belong to ordinary people.
Sure. And we built this entire program on the 12th century legendary fact that the story of Megh Maya. So in the kingdom of Patan in Gujarat, the king wanted to construct one of the largest ponds for water, and they dug the pond, and the king spotted a young woman who was very beautiful, and she was the worker, and she realized that king's bad eyes have fallen on her, and the king made sure that her husband was killed so that he can lay his hand on her. But she said, I will not submit no matter how powerful you are, and she killed herself. And they say that for 7 years there was no rain in the kingdom, and finally the astrologers were called in, and they said, only if you sacrifice a perfect person with 32 qualities of life, that the water will come. And they said, do we have any perfect persons? And they said, yes, we have two. One is yourself, the king. He said, I'm not going to die, I have to rule. Who is the other guy? And says, he is there, but he's an untouchable. No problem, bring him in. And Megh Maya, a very young fellow, unmarried, he's brought in and said, you are the perfect person. He said, what a joke. You people get defiled even by my shadow, and I have to tie a broom at my back and a spittoon in my neck. He says, no argument. We have decided that you are the perfect person. So be ready. He says, fine, but I have my conditions. My community will not tie the broom anymore at the back and the spittoon on the neck, and they will not tie the turban on the head. If you agree, I will sacrifice myself. And they, one by one, they agreed, and then he was killed. Even after all these years, about 900 years, people in the villages across caste and religion, when they build a new house, they put a coin in the foundation and a small glass or a lota which is used for water in the memory of Megmaya. Because he is the person who removed untouchability and discrimination. And then when you put the door frame, you tie a green chundri because he was unmarried. And finally, in the olden times, you had those houses which had roof like this. And when you have the central pillar, people tie a cotton cloth because Dalits were forced to wear a shirt with three sleeves. So on the third, they used to tie the broom at the back. So this is the history people have maintained in their culture. And so we said India is going to build a massive new building of the parliament, which we welcome. But like a tradition, a cultural tradition, a coin must be put in the foundation, and no coin has been put. So we are going to give you a coin. So we spoke to the people that, it's our duty to give the coin, and people said how, and said we can make it out of brass. And that's how the utensils come from every home. Yes. And that's how people donated. We also asked people that we must give donation, and therefore 1 rupee has come, not because the government does not have money, but my grandchildren should say after 2 generations that my grandmother or grandfather donated 1 rupee into that building. In a democracy, the parliament doesn't belong to a person or a party. It belongs to every single citizen, and they have a right on it. So this was the symbolic value which has been connected with history and also the politics of the nation, right? And we said, whether you sit in the new building or the old building, that doesn't matter. Are we going to remove untouchability? 75 years and the nation has failed to become an untouchability free nation. That's the demand, and that's how the people come in and the utensils have come in.
Right. That's very powerful. I did not know the story of Megmaya. So that's a very powerful story. Very interesting that it's almost like that the king did try to, produce this, how they say, false consciousness, which is to try and tell him that, you're so great, so you must die, while he will not die. And it's nice that Megmaya like called it out, even though he sacrificed his life, but there was some real change. And that's also very powerful symbolism, of course. I think the point that you say about the fact that the parliament is a building that represents the people. And so symbolically, the fact that 1 rupee is being donated by the people of India, it's very powerful as well. And it's inspiring and hopeful to hear that there are parliamentarians who have assured you of their support, and I hope that some of them will meet you and that they will accept the coin. You mentioned that that there is already an energy building up. You said that in Rajasthan people were very excited about it. The 850 kilometers of this journey is going to be through the Rajasthan. Rajasthan has, of course, had reported some in the past few years, many pretty gruesome incidents of violence against Dalits. I think that there were some very ghastly gang rape cases as well. When you're starting this yatra on the 1st of August from Ahmedabad, it's going to end in Delhi. What is it that you're expecting en route? If you can just tell us, quickly in short, that, what is your expectation en route in terms of the energy, the people who will join, etc.?
So it's going to be a 7-day long yatra, and we'll halt for 2 nights in Gujarat, 4 in Rajasthan. But we are going to stop, or people are going to come in large numbers and welcome the yatra at about 25 locations. The food and everything has been arranged by the community through people's community donation. We don't have to spend any money for that because this is people's program. They have been waiting for a month and started preparations. We are going to be about 350 people from Ahmedabad in 6 buses. There are more people wanting to join, but sorry, we said, we have to restrict the number. We cannot take more people, plus 4 vehicles, 4 trucks, 1 with the coin, 2 with the 1 rupee coins, 1 a large statue of Dr. Ambedkar writing Indian Constitution. And there are going to be more than 100 motorcycles to lead the yatra out of Ahmedabad. So the entire city of Ahmedabad will be led by the 100 motorcycles. So it's going to be a huge event, and people are waiting.
And
We are,
participative. That's the nice part, that
yes,
it's
exactly. That's
participative, and it's not any single kind of thing. It's a collective movement.
yep.
Before we wrap up and release the video, and we also have, of course, Tatya Martin with us, and I'd also want to hear from them. Before that, I just, I'm completely saying this from my own context. It's the kind of conversation you often sort of hear amongst the more urban, the more privileged, Savarn Hindus, and it's I think it might be a statement or an opinion that is also perhaps laced with a little bit of ignorance. But there's this new thing, that theory, and people love to sort of pass it about, saying that untouchability is actually now in India only really practiced by the OBCs, the category known as the OBC. So in some sense considered among the backward or lower castes, and it's not really, it's not us, it's their problem. It's amongst them, they have this problem. It's in the villages, it's the OBCs, it's the guys who have the land. They are the ones who are practicing untouchability. How do you respond to this?
Well, what immediately comes to my mind is statue of Manu. In 1973, I don't find a reason why India, after so many years of independence, decided to establish a statue of Manu who codified the caste system. That also in the premises of Rajasthan High Court. Is 40 years, 50 years down the line, no hearing is taking place in the High Court. Governments across political parties do not want to talk about the statue. Now, people want that statue because they think he's a lawgiver. So this is nothing new to us. Denial is the simplest program that anyone can follow. In any case, we don't say that we have poverty in India. We deny that there is malnutrition in India. We even deny that there is hunger, though the statistics of the world will say that India is among the top 5 countries in the hunger index. We do deny. But let's look at our matrimonials in times of India. And there's a page on what kind of groom and the bridegroom you want, which particular subcaste. So this is a hypocrisy that we are trying to hide under the carpet. A short point I wanted to put across. There was a question in my mind: how many Dalits have been murdered after independence in 75 years? Unfortunately, for first 30 years, from 47 to 77, we don't have any systematic data in the country about the atrocities on Dalits. But all the data that is available for last 42 years, 25,947 Dalits have been murdered in India. 54,903 women have been raped. A total of 12,04,665 cases of atrocities have been registered with the police. The scenario with the tribal is also not good. The 5,364 murders, 22,004 rapes of tribal women, and 2,11,331 atrocity incidents. Actually, with the modernity and the education and the development that we claim, the violence should come down. That's a single parameter we must take. Look at the data. Every year, the violence is going up. We still have manual scavenging, in the most modern localities in Delhi or Chennai or Bombay. Yes. And we did a lot of surveys about the housing, and even in Delhi, people want to know which caste you are before they want to hire you a house.
Yeah.
So these are the realities.
Yeah.
And
I think sorry.
We
No, I think
cannot ignore. Yeah. Go ahead.
Yes,
Yeah.
I think that's very interesting. Two things that stand out from what you say. One, that I think that you know the fact that we are unable to even recognize the atrocity or the discrimination as discrimination itself is a problem. That is itself a kind of injustice, or I don't know. I don't want to throw these terms lightly, but the fact that we're not even able to recognize it, that's a problem right there. And you said a very interesting thing, that denial. You talked about denial, and I think denial of oppression and denial of injustice is actually the most insidious, sinister, and invisible form of that very injustice and oppression. And it's interesting that you point to that as well. Very quickly, this is my last question to you, because we also want to talk to Tatya ji and we have to release the video. What is, tell me one or two small things, because we all, of course, it's, as you said, it's a big movement, it requires a mass level intervention. It's something that people like you and your teams and all the people who are here today and the people who are listening, everyone, it's a community thing. But at individual level, can you tell me, or think about it and tell me one or two small things that we can as individuals do that would end untouchability, or if not end it in like some grand way, at least make that step, something individual, an individual level action, effort, something that can end untouchability. I'll tell you what, for me, I have thought, it is something that I noticed, and it's something that I it's very of course, again, very urban kind of this thing. In many houses we have this practice in India of giving separate utensils for jo people jo bahar se aate hain, jo kaam karne wale log hain. And it seems like, oh, it'll always be pitched as a hygiene thing. Our families will tell us it's a hygiene thing, but it's not a hygiene thing, it's a caste thing, right? Because you don't know the caste of the people coming to work for you, or their caste and it's lower or whatever it is, and the people, the carpenters, the laborers, you give them separate utensils. So for me, when I moved to Bombay, I decided that we're, and in our house, we are not going to do that. Everyone, there's only one kind of utensil, everyone gets the same kind of utensil. So like that, can you tell me some small individual thing that comes to your mind that people can, because we also have to learn. It's sometimes well-meaning people don't realize, right? So I think that, if as an opportunity for learning at this moment, can you?
That's a good point you reminded me, and I witnessed that in 77, at the age of 17, in my first year of college, and I had visited a village with my professors. That separate cup is called Ram Patra, and the Dalits who play the drum is called Ram Dol, and the sagar that Dalits play is called Ram Sagar. So it's a very interesting language which have been used. 25 years later, we had one of our biggest march in Gujarat for 100 days, covering 473 villages, which is called Abandon Rampatra, Adopt Bhimpatra. Rampatra Chodo, Bhimpatra Apnao, which basically everybody took an oath. Until I leave, I shall not drink tea in the Rampatra, nor offer tea to anyone in the Rampatra. Yes. But I think, I have a lot of faith in education. And I think if we are going to look at our primary schools and our textbooks and make sure that no discrimination happens at the school level, because our study says in Gujarat, in 54% government schools, Dalit children are seated separately during the midday meal. Now, what do you expect when a new generation grows up with that kind of discrimination? So I would say that, a simple argument, if we want India to be a great nation, you cannot afford untouchability and caste in India.
100%.
That's my
Very,
statement.
very well said. And I think that's absolutely right, that at an individual level, whether it's, if it's educators, even if it's people around us, I think it's just a question of becoming more aware and more sensitive to practices that are actually discriminatory but are sometimes couched under other kind of language. Thank you so much, Martin ji, that it's been very instructive for me personally to talk to you. I would also at this point urge anyone who's watching or listening to this to please sign the international petition that will, and by that, extend your own solidarity for the Bhimrudan campaign and for the goals of the Bhimrudan campaign. The petition will be presented to the leaders of our parliament along with the coin, the big installation coin, and the 1 rupee donations from lakhs and lakhs of ordinary and poor Indians who are behind this movement, in a very powerful symbolic gesture, as Martin G said, that this country doesn't belong to any one set of people. Our parliament does not belong to any one political party or one set of people or one group. It belongs to the whole country, to the common people. And that was Dr. Ambedkar's vision. That is the vision that is enshrined in our constitution as well. So this is really a very powerful campaign, and I would urge all of you all to sign this international petition. Before we speak to Tatyaji, who has been waiting very patiently, let me just release the video that he has made, and all of us can then can watch it, and after that we can have a conversation with Tatyaji, and we'd like to hear some words from him about his own process and journey and this video. So here is me releasing this video now for all of us to watch.
When we became independent in 1947, all of us dreamt of an untouchability-free India. That's why this dream found a place in our constitution. If untouchability persists in our society, even after 75 years, it is an insult to our constitution and our independence. The government getting busy in planning Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav prompted Dalits to get together and think how to remind them of untouchability. There is a tradition in many parts of India to bury a coin with the foundation stone of a building. A new parliament building is planned in New Delhi. Let's make a new coin to lay in its foundation. In support of the dream of untouchability-free India, hundreds of thousands of Dalits donated copper and brass vessels. So many vessels started pouring in. It was time to say, enough. That's when the cash donations started coming. A multitude of hands toiled and sweated to shape the coin. When the coin travels to New Delhi, a question will travel with it. While taking the oath at the new Parliament building, will our members take the oath of Untouchability Free India?
I'd now like to invite Tathya Martin ji. Now I'm saying his name right. Who has made this video? Hi, Tathya ji. Very welcome to you. We'd like to hear from you some remarks about the video, your own association with the movement, and your thoughts on this whole issue and this campaign.
Right. So first of all, thank you for releasing the film. It was a big surprise for us, and this was our first social film. Usually we work with commercials like industrialists and brands, but when my father discussed this idea with me, there was something exciting about this subject, and I said, I want to shoot this, and not knowing that time that this will get converted into a documentary film. We just wanted to shoot it, and we started from Patan, where the story of Megmaya had unfolded, and the actual film of the coin was shot in the most hottest month of India, that is May, where the temperatures can soar up to 45 degrees, and adding the melting of the copper and brass, the temperatures in the workshop used to reach around 55 to 70 degrees. And I was very thankful with my team, who was always there documenting the process. And it went on about 1.5 months that the entire coin got ready. And we had filmed the entire process, how the coin was made. But then we got help from good people like Naushil Mehta, who is a writer, and Mr. Amit Bhavsar, who gave the music for the film. And since this was not a film with a budget, all of them gave their services to this film. And we are very grateful that they all came together and made this film possible. So I'm just taking this opportunity to thank everyone.
Thank you, Swara, so much for spending the time with us, and thank you, Martin and Tatya, for your remarks. And every time I hear Martin, of course, I hear a new side of some of the anecdotes that he talks about. It's always something new I hear. Thank you so much. I would like to introduce Roja Singh, who is with Dalit Solidarity Forum, and she is co-authored the international petition that we talked about, Swara talked about, which I have put the link in the chat if anyone hasn't signed it. So all yours now.
Thank you so much, Raju, and thank you, Nikhil, and thank you to Swara for those poignant remarks. And thank you so much to Martin for your consistency. I've known you for so many decades, and I'm always so inspired by your consistency with what you do. And thank you so much for your leadership that has educated us and has educated this country and leading us towards a new and a better future. Thinking about what points embody and what your remarks have reminded us, Martin, and what Swara also has emphasized, is that we all know that coins, right? Historically, they're a source of history. They're a source of processes of history, processes of people's experiences, a nation's experience as a country itself, and representing the economy and the polity as well. So thank you for the fact that this coin carries what the Constitution basically embodies, right? Not just a historical process, but the process of a humanness that our country basically lacks. And in taking that oath that Ambedkar ensured in the Constitution, that Dr. Ambedkar ensured, is that the country needs to take an oath, right, to protect all its citizens. And so this coin is, in my mind, it's kind of like a thorn in the nation's conscience. So the size of it, the way in which the coin was formed, with people's hearts and desires and wages, I think this coin is going to be the thorn in the country's conscience. So thank you for doing that. And as Dr. Ambedkar embodied it also, right, as an economist and as a demanded the political rights and economic rights of Dalits and women. So most of the Dalit people carry the scars, and I think this coin is a reminder to the country that we as Dalit communities are carrying the scars, right? Both physical, mental, and out of, the embers that rise from, the amount of women who are raped, as Martin mentioned, and cremated, and the cries of the parents and siblings and friends of all women and children who've been tortured, raped and killed and so on. So thank you so much for this amazing process that you have made possible for us. And I think we all know that as a country, India has lost its conscience when we come to the rights of, when we talk about the rights of whether it's Dalits or Muslims or women or Christians or Adivasis. So you mentioned beautifully this whole idea of visibility, Martin, and the fact that this is a reminder, this is a demand that we want to get rid of untouchability, and what the country has refused to see and touch, right, for so many centuries. And what we see is the visibility of a national delusion that has safeguarded with diligence that only some people matter, only some people's life matter. And so others don't simply fit into that visibility frame, right, that the country is chosen to look through, constantly shifting here and there, but very careful in focusing on the comfort and progress, political and economic progress of certain groups of people, but not Dalits and so many other minority groups as well. So thank you for that powerful reminder for us. So the coin is going to be a conscience nagger. So every time this visible concretization of the pain, desires, and aspirations and livelihood that have gone into this coin, that have been melted and meshed and embodied inside this metallic circle, inside this circle lives the voices and the livelihood of Dalits, demanding to break free from that bondage, that the inescapable metallization of a nation's conscience that continues to leash out tyranny and fascism and death in plain sight. So may this coin be the conscience nagger, constantly tormenting the nation's conscience, and at least let the nation act out of a nation's obligation, right? So we are our own advocates, carrying our own coin, making our own yatra, demanding for what is ours, and moving and refusing to sit back, because this is the meta-narrative that is going to crush the process of dominant narratives that have placed certain groups above others, that has placed caste as a meta-narrative. So this is what we've been waiting for. So this yatra is definitely a contender, right, as the contrast that we're going to provide. And this is the meta-narrative that we begin and should begin this yatra of breaking the stereotypes and caste divisions and stigmatization. And therefore, as Swara said, having this coin in that building, the parliament building, which represents pomp and splendor and authoritarianism, to have this coin there, right, as carrying the juxtaposition of this coin, being there, representing the voices of Dalits and the journey of Dalits, the yatra of Dalits, is definitely historical and epic. And thank you so much for doing this, Martin. And our hearts and minds and our alliance and partnership is with you. And thank you for Hindus for Human Rights for partnering with Dalits Solidarity Forum in the US, and for this time and for this amazing historical process that is going to be etched in the nation's memory and really, really, really challenging the nation's conscience that has been dead for so long. Thank you.
Thank you.